Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Preston Kelly Show. I am your host, Preston Kelly, and today we're going to be going over both college and NFL. We just wrapped up the third week of college football and the second week of the NFL season, and a lot happened over the weekend, and it was really fun to watch. There were a bunch of big games, both college and NFL, that we're going to talk about today. Bunch of different news and injuries that came out of this weekend early on to the season that could be a big factor going to the rest of the season. We're going to cover all of that on today's episode. So thank you for watching. And I start up with saying, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel yet, what are you doing? This is one of the best places to come when it comes to if you want to hear anything specifically about football and about sports in general. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. And we're going to start out today by talking about our college weekend. Now, I will go ahead and come out front and say that I didn't get to see a lot of these games, like the full games live and stuff. You know, I saw bits and pieces, but if I don't know if I said it on last week's show or not, but I was in Chicago this past weekend. I went to Wrigley Field, went to Wright Field, which is the home of the White Sox, and also drove up to Milwaukee this past Saturday to go see American Family Field, excuse me, to go watch some baseball games. And that's been a goal of mine with my dad, is that the goal is to go see all 30 ballparks. And we went and saw those this weekend. That brought our total to 10. So that kind of took me away from a little bit of the football side of things, but I still caught up with as much as I could. And of course, keeping up with it on social media and different sports apps, you still see some of these big things that happen. And we're going to talk about 3 college games that I think they probably had maybe the biggest impact on the college world for the most part, and for the future of this for the rest of the season. And those being, we'll talk about first, Georgia Tech beat Clemson. Man, the final score of that game was 24-21. Georgia Tech, they won on a game-winning field goal at the end of that game. And, you know, ESPN has the pick 'em games on their fantasy app that you can do for free. The end goal is to win a lot of money. I've done horribly on all picks this year. That's because I have really, for the most part, started to gamble a little bit and take some of these underdogs. But this was one of the games that I got right, because I'm a big believer in Georgia Tech and Brandon Key with Haynes King. And it was so fun to watch Haynes King during this game. I already knew that he was a terrific quarterback coming into this game. He really he can pass the football, don't get me wrong, but where he really hurts teams is, of course, with him running the football. And he ran all over Clemson this weekend. I believe I could be wrong, but I think he did end up passing for over 200 and rush for over 100, and that's amazing to see from him. And this Georgia Tech team is really trending in the right direction. Clemson, on the other hand, has really struggled. Of course, they took that first week 1 loss to LSU. They really struggled against Temple over a week ago, and then this past weekend, obviously seeing that they dropped the game to Georgia Tech, and they were ranked number 12 coming into this game, and now I don't even think they're ranked at all. I just looked at the AP poll not too long ago, but that was just to get the top 5 teams to talk about. But I seriously don't think that they're ranked at all anymore, and for good reason. I mean, they have really struggled so far this season, and this was a team that was supposed to be like really, really good. Like, you look at this team on paper, and people will tell you that it's one of the most stacked teams, top to bottom, roster wise, in football and college football, and they have not performed like it at all yet. Now, I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, we'll see, but this is not the time. Frankly, you never want to have a time in college football with the season to kind of go on a bad spell of weeks, but especially to open up the season, that is just not what you want to do at all. And they've really just started the season off not good, and it's cost them 2 games, and they almost dropped that game against Temple if they hadn't had kind of clicked back into it towards the end of that game. So where does Clemson go now? I think everybody's asking. I mean, you look at it, and I mean, I don't think you could win every single game for the rest of the season, and I still don't think you make the college football playoff unless you win the ACC. Um, and so playoffs are pretty much probably out of the picture for them. And again, this was a team that we were talking about that could legitimately make a run at a title shot. And sure enough, they come to this game, they drop it against Georgia Tech, and it's really just, all right, we are 1-2. Um, and they haven't. That was their first ACC loss, so they're just not in a good spot right now, and you can see the frustration for the most part in a lot of these guys, especially Dabo. You can definitely tell he's definitely frustrated where his program's at, and for good reason. I mean, I hate to be in that position too, but you know what? Clemson's been good for a long time, and I think it's about time for them to maybe fall a little bit. And I'm really just pumped to see this Georgia Tech team do good. I already talked about Haynes King before, but I think they've got a legitimate run in them. I think they do. They might not be the best team in the ACC. I think that crown right now is probably going to go to Florida State, who's looked really, really good so far this season. But we'll see what they can do because, I mean, same thing for them. Where does Georgia Tech now go? I mean, because that is a lot of fire under their tail, getting a big win against a top 15 team in the country, ranked top 15 team in the country coming into that game. So I can't wait to see what they do for the rest of the year. I think that they have all the momentum in the world, like I just said, to go for the rest of the season all the way. They've started off hot. They haven't lost a game. And like I said, I'm really excited to see where they go. I already talked so much about Haynes King and how much I like him. They got a great head coach and Coach Key and a great offense, a great defense surrounding that team. And they got a lot of fight in them. And this would be a team that if I'm a college program and I got Georgia Tech coming to play me, I would be pretty nervous because I know that they're going to bring it. And this is a team now that they're not the same old Georgia Tech team that, wasn't good a few years ago. Now they're really good. And I don't even think that switch flipped this year. I think you'd go back to last year when they went, I think it was 6, maybe 7 overtimes with Georgia that they had at the end of the year. I think that's really where we saw this team, like what the future of this team could look like. And sure enough, they have started off this season hot, and I cannot wait to see where Georgia Tech goes from here. But we'll go to the next game, and that's Notre Dame and Texas A&M. I didn't get to see this game live because since I was at the baseball game on Saturday night, but I was doing my best to follow it a little bit. I kept getting alerts every now and then. All I saw was it was a shootout, and I literally watched the highlights just to kind of get a little bit sense as to what it was on Saturday night. So I watched the highlights, and you know, both teams look great. Notre Dame, sure, you look at their record; they're 0-2, took the week 1 loss to Miami. Now they lose to Texas A&M, who was ranked 16 coming into that game. So I can't say that they've had a bad loss, even though they should have went to overtime with A&M. They, of course, missed the PAT, Notre Dame did, to keep them from getting 40-41. The score was 41-40. Texas A&M got the football back. They took advantage of that muffled PAT. They drove down the field on 4th and goal. They got the touchdown, and they made the PAT and won the game. So good for Texas A&M. This is year 2 of Mike Elko as your head coach. There were a lot of positives that you could take away from last year. Now we're transitioning to this year, and this is the year that we want to see them take a big step. And here they are. They get a big win over Notre Dame, who's ranked number 8 going into this game. Kind of the same way with Georgia Tech, except you're talking about Texas A&M. This is big momentum that they have now that they can use for the rest of the season. Especially when you play in the SEC, you're going to play tough opponents, and you get the big win against Notre Dame, and you can use that to fuel your guys to go on for the rest of the season. And, this is a tough team. I mean, I think both teams are tough. Obviously, Notre Dame's just fine. again, 0-2, that's very hard to kind of, I feel like that's to start the season off 0-2, that's a little bit more difficult than most to crawl back from. But, they're going to fight. They're always going to fight. And I think CJ Carr is great. I think there's, a little bit more than him. And you've asked him to play two very tough games as the new starter for this Notre Dame team, talking about Miami and Texas A&M. Like, those are two games against ranked opponents, you know, and he's battled on both of them. So I love what I'm seeing from CJ Carr. Notre Dame's just got to close these games out and actually win them. That's just the problem for Notre Dame. And I think that they'll end up doing that. Again, I'm not panicking at all if I'm a Notre Dame. Sure, I'm not happy that I'm 0-2, but at the same time, it's not like we've looked horribly. So, I think Notre Dame's going to be fine. Texas A&M, like I just said, that's a big win for them. And they're going to use it now just to thrive them for the rest of the year. And hopefully they're going to be competitive for the SEC. You got teams still like Texas who, they're going to fight. I think, that maybe now is the time to see them. They're wobbling a little bit. So we'll see we'll see where they will end up. Alabama, obviously, who's always been known to be a powerhouse, but again, kind of like you say about Texas, they're getting a little bit wobbly, and you wonder if the wheels are now falling off a little bit more. And then Georgia, who we'll talk about them now with another SEC team that they faced, beat Tennessee 44-41 in overtime. I saw the end of this game. We were sitting before the Milwaukee game started. And as soon as I turned it on, it was a few plays before the field goal attempt by the Tennessee kicker, before the game went to overtime. He had a chance to win the game, obviously. We all know how it went. You've seen probably the replay quite a few times. Sailed far right. Game goes to overtime. And sure enough, they just drive right down the field, and he made the field goal in overtime. Tennessee kicker did. That brought the score to 41. Brought their score to 41, and then they gave Georgia the football back, and Georgia did exactly what Georgia was planning to do. They drove right down the field. They got a touchdown, and they won the game in overtime, 44-41. And I think Georgia probably felt disrespected coming into this game. Everybody was talking about how, Georgia's not the same old Georgia that we've known them to be for the last few years. And, one thing that I think now that I've learned is I cannot doubt Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart, obviously one of the best coaches in college football right now. And he's got the Bulldogs ready to go. And sure enough, they take down a team in Tennessee who's been on the rise lately. They've started off the season hot, new quarterback in Joey Aguilar. And, a lot of people were looking at Tennessee to not only just win this game, but win this game, very, very convincingly. And Georgia just put a stop to that. They just came in and played Georgia football at Tennessee, and they snag that dub right from Tennessee. And good for Georgia. They are now ranked inside the top 5 thanks to this win, and 3-0. They're looking to just do exactly the same thing that they've been doing, just make a run for it. And now that they've beaten Tennessee, and you get a chance to see that, okay, actually this Georgia team is still really good, and that we can't doubt them. Now I think people aren't gonna try and crap them just as much, even though that they've lost. People think that they've lost what they have had. As long as Kirby's there, I can't doubt Kirby. Looking forward to this week. The top 5 just came out the other day, and pretty much still the same for the most part as the top 3 goes. You got Ohio State 1, you got Penn State 2, you got LSU 3, you've got Miami at 4, and then you got Georgia 5. And then right behind them, 6 is Oregon, 7 is Florida State. A lot of teams creeping up to come closer to snagging those spots, but for the most part, it's still the same. And then, we've got quite a few big games to look forward to this weekend with ranked implications and yeah, just a bunch of big games in general. So let me share the ones that we have this weekend with you. So we got number 9, Illinois, who's undefeated, going to number 19, Indiana, who's also undefeated. Uh, it's going to be a pretty good game. I'd say I got to watch Illinois play once live. They faced Duke, and I mean they beat the brakes off of them a couple weeks ago. So um, that game is going to be fun to watch. The ABC game at 7:30 is Florida at Miami. This game also got game day. Kind of threw me off a little bit. I think it is kind of a weird discussion that it seems we had every single week is debating why, you know, game day goes to certain locations. And, um, I mean, I guess I get this one. It's a rivalry game, Florida and Miami. But at the same time, too, like, man, Florida just, DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions last week, by the like just to say anything, and they lost that game to LSU 20-10. But oh my gosh, DJ Lagway. It's funny. I was watching a documentary on the way back when we were flying back from Chicago on Sunday, and it was a Netflix doc that was covering the SEC. And I've only gotten through 2 episodes, but the second episode was on Billy Napier in Florida and the battle last season, talking about Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. And everybody was calling for, Billy Napier to lose his job just because of the coaching and everything like that. And the more and more I watch, I'm like, sure, coaching ultimately is what you look at whenever your team's not winning, and the first people you kind of go to blame. But DJ Lagway wasn't playing great at the start of that season. Sure, he locked in a little bit and they went on the run that they did at the end of the year. This year, now he's not playing great again. And, we need to start talking about DJ Lagway, a former 5-star quarterback, top quarterback in the nation, sure, and commits to Florida. And I mean, we were expecting Florida to take that big step this year with DJ Lagway officially as a starter and building the team around him. And you go out and shoot a dud. And now more than anything, like this game ultimately like I feel like if DJ doesn't play good, there will be discussions about like, oh gosh, like, is he really a 5-star? Like, is he really going to make it and everything? Now, don't get me wrong, they've played a lot of good teams. Obviously, you're going from playing the 3rd-ranked team in the nation to now you're playing the 4th team in the nation back-to-back weeks. Especially this game's now at Miami, so this is going to be a rough game for sure. But like, man, DJ Lagway, you gotta play really, really good this week. And, even if you lose, you need to lose, still feel like you won, if that makes sense. Like, there need to be a lot of positives going into this week. Because if he doesn't throw 5 interceptions last week, we're talking about LSU, who only scored 20 points, and they only scored 10. That game would have been right there for them if he wouldn't have turned the ball over so many times. So I like right now, the person that I look to blame is DJ Lagway. Like, he just needs to play better football, and I think he's got it in them. He's got it in him. So and hopefully he maybe figures that out as soon as this week against Miami. So we will see. But moving on, 17 Texas Tech at 16 Utah. You might have heard me before talk about Devin Dampier, who's the quarterback for Utah. That I really, really like what he's doing, and I really, really like the way that he plays. This is going to be a big game for Utah. Texas Tech was a big. I've always heard people talking about them, to being one of the better teams in football this year. Even though we haven't really seen them circle around in this top 25 in a few years. And now they're facing a Utah team, that's got a new face at quarterback and is really looking to be on the rise. So this is going to be a fun game. This will be a game that I will be watching for sure to watch this game, because it's going to be a really, really good game. 22 Auburn at 11 Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been hot. Obviously, they've had a lot of good wins for them now, and now you're facing a tough SEC team and Auburn, who kind of always seems to be tough, no matter what year it is. For the most part, they always are proven to just kind of be tough. Maybe not one of the best teams in the nation anymore, but they'll still give you a fight. So, and this game is at Oklahoma. So this will be another fun game. That a good SEC matchup that could definitely play into the future for the season. And then the last one that I wrote down was Michigan. They're going to be at Nebraska, so we'll see Bryce Underwood versus Dylan Raiola, aka Baby Mahomes. Um, Nebraska's 3-0. Michigan obviously 2-1. Lost to Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. This is going to be a shootout, I think. I think this Nebraska team is pretty solid. And then I think the Michigan team also, again, is pretty solid. So I'm excited to see this game, see the dual threat or the duo quarterbacks that we're going to see in this game, and watch the young guys spin the football. So I'll definitely be looking at this one, seeing how the young quarterbacks play against each other. So we've got quite a few good football games coming up this weekend that we'll definitely be looking forward to on Saturday. But that'll wrap it up for college. Now let's talk about something I know a little bit more about with the football. What a crazy weekend it was for football. My goodness. From start on Thursday to wrapping up on Monday, the games were amazing. A lot to talk about from week 2. We'll start out by kind of reviewing some of the games from this past weekend. We won't talk about all of them, but we'll talk about some of them. And I want to start by talking about some of these thriller games. We'll first talk about the battle of the losers. I thought this game was going to be horrible. Giants and Cowboys, man, 37-40 in overtime. My goodness, we flew back Sunday morning, and we got back around 2 o'clock, maybe, back to our house from the airport. And I was on Red Zone the whole time when we were traveling back, and we get home, and I'm just trying to kind of settle down. Just got off from an airplane, and as soon as I settle down, Russell Wilson throws about a 50. No, excuse me. I don't know how far that touchdown pass was. A long touchdown pass to Malik Neighbors with like 20 seconds. No, excuse me. Not a lot of time in the game. I can't think of it top of my head. Like, there was under 2 minutes for sure left in that game when he threw that touchdown pass. Dak comes right back, leads him down the field. Aubrey kicks a 64-yarder. Like, a couple years ago, we're talking about that. Like, we're freaking out because it's 64. It's the longest field goal in NFL history. And for now, that's like a chip shot for him. 64-yarders is easy. Sends the game to overtime. And this game literally played out to the very end of overtime, where Aubrey kicked the game-winning field goal, obviously, to win the game for the Cowboys. And man, I gotta say, like, I think you needed that game from Russell Wilson. He needed a bounce back game like that. Obviously playing the way that he did against Washington the week before. So yes, Giants fans, you lost the game, but you can at least have a moral victory because your team looked so much better against Dallas. And again, for Dallas, again, you get a win. There you go. But at the same time, too, the offense looked great. I've been telling people that this offense was going to look really good. Ryan Scottemeyer is a great offensive-minded coach. I can't lie. Even though I'm a Washington fan, I can't lie when I say that. So, and I saw like a video afterwards of him hyping up everybody in the locker room, and it looked great. I saw a lot of people talking about it. It looked like Jimmy Johnson. Obviously, I'm not old enough to remember the days of Jimmy Johnson, but seeing kind of some clips and stuff from that era, and seeing Jimmy Johnson now, the way that he talks and everything about the Cowboys, it's the energy that you want to have in that locker room for sure. No matter if you know about the older Cowboys or not, like, that's the type of energy that you want in that locker room. So I think you gotta be happy. You gotta be extremely happy if you're a Cowboy fan, and gotta have a really positive mindset looking towards the future. Sure, you might, I wouldn't dare say this is the year of the Cowboys, because it's not, at least I hope not. But hey, you got a lot to look forward to in the future with a new head coach who seemingly has a lot of energy. He knows how to coach an offense. Just like I keep saying time and time again, that defense, I think it's going to be it's the one that uh, digresses and keeps this team back. And I mean, I guess they're trying. They signed Jadeveon Clowney after the game, and he's not no Micah Parsons. I hate to break it to you, but uh, that's got to be the key thing that you got to look at after this season into the off season is if you can get that defense better, then yeah, we'll probably be talking about a Cowboys team who's going to be looking to compete again. But for right now, I think you got to be positive with okay, our coach knows how to make the offense work. The offense looks great. It's fun to watch Dallas football, and here we go, looking to get another win next week against the Bears, who are struggling at 0-2. Another game that was a thriller was the Broncos versus the Colts. Man, Indianapolis is 2-0 right now, guys. Daniel Jones looks phenomenal. I mean, he looks great in Indy. Maybe that's all that we needed. We needed to get him out of New York, put him on a new team. He comes to Indy, beats Anthony Richardson for the starting spot, and he's ran with it. They are 2-0. The end of that game, I think, is a little bit controversial. I think that's what the takeaway is going to be. Indy went to kick the game-winning kick, a 60-yarder, shanked it, but there was a penalty for personal foul, leverage. Leverage is a 15-yard penalty, and they get to 45 yards as a chip shot field goal for the win. This game was crazy. Definitely Broncos. You got to be happy that you look better than you did last week against the Titans. A couple weeks ago against the Titans, even though you still lost, but you got to be thankful that Bo Nix looked like the Bo Nix that we saw last year in this game. But still, took an ugly loss, and I gotta say, I don't think that leverage call was a leverage call. It's kind of a weird call. So I watched a YouTuber who compared it to it's a weird comparison, but like a holding call. So if you were to break down every single offensive snap, every single offensive play, you would pretty much find holding on every single play. And I think that's the same topic that we can talk about leverage. Because I think in the official rule book, it's like you can't leverage as you're gaining leverage, like you're maybe pushing off on the center to try and jump up and block the ball, or you're pushing off of a teammate or pushing off of just another player. You're not supposed to do that. But realistically, if you broke down every single field goal or PAT opportunity, I feel like you're gonna see leverage on every single play. So I kind of think it's a little just kind of like that you called it right there. But I mean, whatever. We got a very dramatic finish out of it, and the Broncos are, or excuse me, not the Broncos, the Colts are 2-0 and riding a ultimate high right now. And hey, maybe you know what? They're looking to compete in a weaker division in the NFL with the AFC South. But we'll go to the Sunday night football game now before we talk about the two other games that I have written down. A little bit of a snoozer if you're not a fan of kind of heavily contested defensive games. This was the Falcons and the Vikings. The Falcons beat the Vikings 22-6. I think there was only one touchdown score in this game, which was at the very end. I think Tyler Algier scored it. But for the most part, this was straight field goal games. And Falcons, hey, good job. You got a win. You got a great win on primetime television. You know, I think that it was a good win for them. I think they will 100% take it. A great way to kick off. Maybe that they take this and ride with it a little bit in the future, trying to compete. Obviously, this is a team that is looking to compete. With fully backing Michael Penix as the quarterback. This game was also viewed as a national championship, kind of, we put it in quotes, national championship rematch with J.J. McCarthy as the quarterback of the Vikings, and then Michael Penix as the quarterback of the Falcons. And you know what? Hey, Falcons dominated. Vikings, that game didn't look great. And I think What it boils down to is JJ McCarthy and the Vikings need to figure out how to get the football to Justin Jefferson more. I played Justin Jefferson in fantasy this weekend, so I'm not going to be too mad at I still lost, but I'm not going to be too mad about it that he didn't go off. But I went back and looked at it. He only had like 3 catches for like 81 yards, and those three catches, like I think 2 of them were on like desperate, like you got to throw the football no matter what throws. Like I know one of them was at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, but like why are we not throwing to Justin Jefferson more? Like this is a guy that realistically should be in the game with like anywhere between 9 and 11 catches. He's one of the best wide receivers, not the best wide receivers in the NFL, and we're not getting him the football. Make that make sense. It'd be one thing if he's just not playing good and, not getting open. But I mean, for the most part, it does seem like he's doing Justin Jefferson things. He's trying to get open and be the receiver that he knows. We got to get Justin Jefferson the football. Um, We'll see if they can. We'll talk about the Vikings more in a second for a specific reason, but I think that is the ultimate reason why the Vikings aren't winning the games like they were in past years. My Commanders. Oh man. Last Thursday, a week ago from when this podcast will drop, we dropped a game to the Packers, 18-27. Watched this in the hotel room. This was depressing to watch. We just didn't look good. The offense did not look good at all. And you'll look at it on paper and be like, oh, the defense didn't play great. They played good. They gave the offense so many chances to score and to capitalize on, Green Bay punting or whatever it is. And the offense just simply did not do it. There was oh my gosh. Similar situation with Justin Jefferson, except for a different reason. Our wide receiver game, it's showing that Terry wasn't there this offseason. I just don't think that Terry is, ready yet for like a full season. Maybe he will be by Sunday. Maybe these 2 games have hopefully ramped him up a little bit. We saw more from him this week, sure, than we did the week before, but still, he's not looking like the Terry McLaurin that we know that he's capable of being. And it's kind of causing us to fall back and rely on Deebo Samuel, who's a great person to fall back to and rely on, but these teams are going to catch on to it. The whole reason we brought Deebo in was to have that dynamic duo of receivers in Terry and Deebo. And if we can get that duo working, this is a scary football team. This is a team that's going to play great, but we can't do that right now because Terry's not playing Terry McLaurin football. And we'll also continue talking about the Commanders in just a second because there's injury stuff that we have to deal with. People that I won't talk about, Eckler tore his Achilles, and Wise had a quad injury. And we've replaced that. It just came out today, recording this on a Wednesday, that Preston Smith has been signed to the practice squad. He used to play in Washington before, so we're bringing him back. I like it. Chase Edmonds was also signed to the practice squad as a result of the Eckler injury. We'll probably see Bill Krofsky Merritt getting more reps again at running back. Hopefully he can start playing like he did week 1 against the Giants this week against the Raiders. Hoping that we can use this Sunday as a get-back game. Kind of a team with the Raiders who maybe spiral a little bit. They took a kind of a hard loss to the Chargers on Monday night, 20-6. We aren't going to talk about that game just because, I fell asleep. Simple as that. I don't know enough. And there was a better Monday Night Football game on that night. But yeah. But if I'm a Packers fan, I'm so hyped. This team looks amazing. I can't even lie. This team looks like so much fun. This is a team that's honestly like it's probably going to come down between them and Detroit. And they've already beat Detroit once in convincing fashion. Now can they beat them again in the future? And can they this team's looking to win this division? Not just that, but win a freaking Super Bowl. So I'm excited to watch the Packers for the rest of the year. Obviously no hate towards them for beating us the way that they did. I can't complain at all. But as a Commanders fan, I feel okay. I feel fine right now. I don't think that loss will hurt us as much as some people might think it will, but I think we'll be okay. That is depending on the injury to Jaden Daniels that we'll talk about here in just a second. But the last game that we'll talk about was the Buccaneers, who had a late comeback against the Texans a couple of nights ago on Monday Night Football. That was a great game. Baker doing Baker things. One of the best things that I saw from that game was right there at the end of the game when he fell and rolled over on his knee or ankle, whatever he did to his leg. It honestly looked like it hurt quite a bit. But CJ Gardner-Johnson starts trying to talk crap, and Baker brushes that injury off right away and starts talking right back to him. Man, I'm such a big Baker Mayfield fan. I'm happy for the Bucs. They've got 2 great wins under their belt. They're 2-0, and they're looking to ride this momentum and keep on. This was a team that I was kind of skeptical on for the most part coming to the season. I was like, can they keep playing up to Buccaneer standards? How is the defense going to look? And they played great. Obviously still a whole lot more football left to go. The Texans also look much better than they did week 1 against the Rams. Now this week, looks like we're maybe throwing in Nico Collins the football. Now I don't know why we kind of got away from that in week 1, but hey, Nico's there throwing the football. Hopefully CJ Stroud can kind of go back to that rookie CJ Stroud that we saw a few seasons ago. But I think I'd be a little bit more confident if I'm a Texan fan, seeing the way that they played, but obviously not happy at all yet. We need to get a win. And then Buccaneers, feeling great. I can't wait to see where they go for the rest of the season. But now we're going to take a little bit of a preview for the upcoming week, week 3, and we're going to talk about quarterback injuries, and we'll talk about those first. There were a lot of quarterback injuries that came from this past week. So 4 that I had off the top of my head that I wrote down. The biggest being Joe Burrow, who has turf toe that is going to require him to have surgery, and he's going to miss 3 months. And, that's always been the discussion since Joe Burrow's been in the league is, man, talk about a guy who's injury prone, can't stay on the field, is always hurt. I think he takes too much crap, and that's going to sound probably crazy to some people. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. His offensive line just sucks a lot, like a lot. And that's why he keeps getting injured so much is because, he's getting sacked and hit so many times in a game. And all quarterbacks do, but it seems like for him, he just gets hit more than anybody else. And, it sucks to watch. And I hope that they can find a way to make him be able to stay on the field for a whole lot longer. Because when this guy's on the field, this team's a great football team. Jake Browning came in this past weekend. They still were able to beat the Jaguars, even though it was close. So as long as Jake Browning still is able to get Jamar and T. Higgins the football, I think this Bengals team will be okay. Again, the question will be, can the defense play up to standards? With Trey Hendrickson back and everything like that. And then obviously Drake Browning, how good is he going to play now that this is his team for the most part for the rest of the season? And then other quarterback injuries, J.J. McCarthy sprained his ankle on Sunday Night Football, which kind of came out of nowhere. He looked fine for the most part to me watching the game. He's going to miss a couple weeks, so it's on Carson Wentz. And ironically enough, the Vikings play the Bengals this upcoming week, so it's going to be Jake Browning for the Bengals against Carson Wentz for the Vikings. So we'll see how these backup quarterbacks do, what they're able to do for their teams this upcoming week. But the other injuries, 2 other injuries, Jaden Daniels sprained his knee. He got rocked around a lot on Thursday night against the Packers. So it kind of didn't shock me, oddly enough, whenever I heard that he had a knee injury. His status for this kind of week is kind of just up in the air. We don't know what we're going to get. But he took the MRI, and then Dan Quinn said today that he's not going to practice until Friday. So it's looking more likely than not that Mariota is going to get the start on Sunday. And I'm okay with that. Honestly, I want a 100% healthy Jaden Daniels playing football for me if I'm a Washington fan. And B, Mariota has proven that he's able to play good in this offense. I was at the game last year when Jaden got hurt against Carolina, and Marcus Mariota took over that whole game and played great. We won that game. We murdered the Panthers, and then Mariota played the second half of the Dallas game, and we won that game. So, I think we're going to be just fine. Mariota's seemingly has played well in this offense. Now he gets to start against his former team, against the Raiders, most likely. And hopefully he'll figure out a way we can get the ball to Terry more. We'll utilize Debo in the right ways, and we'll see what we're able to do with the running back positions. And hopefully the defense can keep playing well as well. But then the final one, Justin Fields suffered a concussion. And then, also to the top of my mind, this was crazy. We'll talk about him in a second. because he was playing against the Jets. But Justin Fields got a concussion. He just got confirmed that he's going to be out for week 3. So Tyrod Taylor, oh yeah, he's going to get the start this week for the Jets. But Josh Allen, ah, what a wow. I don't even know what to say. He's still just find ways to amaze me. And this is going to sound like I'm glazing him, but whatever. He breaks his nose. So if you didn't see it, he broke his nose, took a direct snap, went for a quarterback run. His head got kind of like face planted into it was one of the players' legs or knees, whatever. It first went into his head, and then he fell face first right onto the ground. And like he got up right away and was like motioning, like he took his helmet off and looked down. And I just thought that he was like bleeding or whatever. And sure enough, they kind of like you could see them like put their hands up to his nose, and they popped it back in. They didn't obviously show that on TV, but when I saw it afterwards, I was like, wow, okay. And his nose obviously was swollen up a bunch. I'm interested to see how he plays football. How they're going to have him play this week with. I don't know if, obviously in basketball, they give you like that clear mask that you wear. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think I saw something about maybe like obviously I think it's he'll wear an Oakley visor. But so I don't know how that helps your nose. But we'll see. No signs of him not playing this week. He's Josh Allen. If he can play, he's going to play. So, and they play tonight. This episode will come out on a Thursday. They play tonight, Thursday Night Football against the Dolphins, and we're going to jump right into it and talk about that game because I'm going to give you my Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football predictions. Which being, I already said the Bills against the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football tonight. They are in Miami. It looks like I think I've written down. I don't know. I think it's Miami. Could be wrong. Who knows? Either way, I'm taking the Bills. I don't broken nose Josh Allen or not, whatever it is. This Buffalo team's rolling. They've got 2 great wins under their belt, and I think they're going to keep it going against a Dolphins team that is spiraling out of control. Like this team looks awful. This team looks bad. They look better this past week against New England, but had the horrible showing against the Colts in week 1, and now they're facing the Bills team. Obviously, the Pats beat them this past week. Forgot to mention them. Good for New England, but now they're facing Buffalo, and I just think it's going to keep going. And I would not be shocked if Mike McDaniel was fired here in just a little bit. It would not shock me one bit if that was the outcome here in a couple weeks. I mean, this team's bad. This team's really, really bad, and I think it's just going to be Buffalo's going to punch him right in the mouth, and it's going to be fun to watch. Sunday Night Football, though. Excuse me. It's the Giants and the Chiefs. I've kind of been like, I kind of took that second pause because I kind of just thought about like, why? Why is this team getting a Sunday Night Football from the Sunday Night Football game? But you know what? Whatever. Both teams are 0-2. Giants obviously had that and were in that great game like I talked about before against the Cowboys. And the Chiefs are 0-2 right now. Lost to the Eagles this past weekend. I'm glad I didn't watch that game. And then obviously lost to the Chargers week 1. So my prediction for this game, I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think they're going to get a bounce back win here. I don't think this team's bad by no means, but like they need help in the receiving core. Like they need to go get a wide receiver. If I had a hot take for this year, I think Kansas City might go trade back for Tyreek Hill. Like, I think Tyreek Hill is going to be moved. I don't know how soon that'll be, but I do think he'll be moved by the Week 8 deadline. And I think the Chiefs will be a good suitor for him. They are struggling with injuries. They're so struggling with, the Rice not being there under his suspension. How is he going to look back whenever he gets back? Worthy has been hurt with his shoulder. And then from there, we're talking about Hollywood Brown, who, yes, had a great Week 1. Didn't really have a showing against Philly, and then it's Juju Smith-Schuster. Travis Kelce's been playing good for the most part, but like this Chiefs team does just need help on the offense, and I think that they'll go trade for Tyreek Hill at some point. But I think they will get back on the right track against the Giants this week. That game is in New York, and hey, we'll see. We'll see if Russell Wilson can keep it up against Kansas City, and who knows, maybe even the Giants we'll end up getting a sneaky victory over Kansas City, but I doubt it. So I'm rolling with the Chiefs. And then the last game is the Lions versus the Ravens. This is gonna be a fun game. Monday Night Football. Like, this is a crazy Monday night game. Both teams 1-1. Detroit got back on the right track, had a dominant win over Chicago this past weekend, and same thing for Baltimore. They got back on the right track with the dominant win over Cleveland. So I think this is going to be a really, really fun game. I'm going with the Ravens. I'm going to pick the Ravens. Why? I'm not sold on Detroit yet. Not yet, under the new coordinators. Like, I know that they're a good football team. I think they'll play great again here in this game. Games in Baltimore, and I think this Baltimore team's is one of the better teams and obviously one of the best teams in football. And I think they're going to get a very you know, very big win against Detroit, because I just don't know if I trust Detroit under their new coordinators yet. And some people will call me crazy because they just beat Chicago the way that they did, but I don't know. My gut says Ravens, so I'm rolling with the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a big game here. I think Derrick Henry needs to have a big bounce back game here. Had a great week one, and then this past week, like, did not have a great game at all. So yeah, I'm rolling with the Ravens. I think this is going to be a tight game. Who knows? This game could even come down to a last second field goal winning attempt, but I am rolling with the Ravens. And that's it. We took I did want to do both college and NFL for both lovers, no matter if you like college more, NFL more. Um, but yes, that is it. It was definitely a little bit more difficult to record this episode being gone for the most part while these games were happening, but I did it to the best of my abilities. I apologize if I missed anything. But let me know what you think. Whether it's a hot take from college or the NFL, your thoughts from this past week, or even your previews to this upcoming week. Anything about that. But that is it from me. And I hope you guys have a great week of watching football this weekend. It all starts tonight with the Bills and the Dolphins, and then we roll into the weekend full of football, and it's going to be great. Like I said at the very beginning of the episode, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please like the video. Please share with others. It does me great joy to see people liking and enjoying the content that I try to make, because that is the goal. I want to I want to try and record, something that people will enjoy coming to watch. And in the future, I'm also thinking about interacting with some of the viewers, taking maybe a video, taking a show to where we just read hot takes or whatever that is. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you want to maybe see a video here in the future of a hot takes video, or whatever it is, whatever your idea is, leave it down in the comments. Let me know. It'll do me great help. That is it from me. I hope you guys have a good one, and we'll see you guys next time.